They were among 19 people targeted with arrest warrants in July for alleged roles in the Hong Kong Parliament, a group the police call a subversive organisation abroad. 3 of the original 19 activists were already targeted by similar measures last year. The organisation's not official and its influence is limited. The arrest warrants and bounties issued last month have sparked criticism from foreign governments, but China has defended them. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
More on these stories at townhall.com.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
The mockingbird is a state bird of Texas. This bird is unique because it often mocks the sound from other birds, thus the name. Some say mockingbirds might have at least 20 different songs they sing. Some experts claim dozens. Now, where's this going? Let me take you back to 1977. A covert CIA program was created. It was a program designed to infiltrate newsrooms, recruit journalists, either to work directly with the CIA elsewhere or work with the CIA while in a news outlet, like the New York Times, Time Magazine, other publications, and broadcast networks, such as CBS. This was before CNN. So Operation Mockingbird, used by the CIA to basically alter, create, shape stories the CIA wanted. Their recruits learned to sing various songs. I don't know for a fact how many songs a real mockingbird can sing. And also have to admit, we have no idea of how many false stories were created during Operation Mockingbird.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
John Beal knows it right after a hailstorm. New roofing companies start popping up everywhere. But the Small Business Administration reports 96% of them go out of business within the first 5 years. So how good is that warranty? John Beal started in the roofing business, helping his granddad and his dad. Always offering the best roof, best price, best guarantee. John Beal Roofing, not some fly-by-the-night operation. Call my friend John, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, 1-800-NEW-ROOF. McGuire Moving is Silver certified, which means they are great at relocating senior citizens. In fact, McGuire is a household name because McGuire understands the stress involved when moving older adults. So if you or family members need help moving, I highly recommend McGuire Moving. 314-241-0600. 241-0600. Get a free in-home estimate. McGuireMoving.com.
News Talk STL. This hour of the Allman Report brought to you by STL Fenceworks, celebrating 50 years of industry-leading service for fence, deck, and leisure space solutions. Visit STLFenceworks.com.
Give me land, lots of land under starry skies above. Don't fence me in. Let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Don't fence me in. Let me be by myself in the evening breeze. Listen to the murmur of the cottonwood trees. Send me off forever, but I ask you please.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Allman Report. Happy Monday to all of you. 3 martini lunch, common sense radio, everything all wrapped into one. Have a little busy day today. Judge Napolitano going to be joining us at about 12:30 or so, just to let us know what can be done with Hillary, Obama, and the rest of the gang. Can you really send them to jail, convict them of a crime? So we'll see how that whole thing goes. Also, over the weekend, I discovered really the secret of the Uniparty. That was through these negotiations regarding the recess appointments, and found something out that's really Pretty interesting. Mark Wayne Mullen was on Maria Bartiromo, and he didn't know it, but he uncovered the true secret of what really goes on up there. And both parties do it, and they've been doing it forever. And so I'll break that down to you as well. Also, just in the layover from the weekend and Friday with the situation regarding the MAGA hat guy at the insufferable St. Louis SC game, and nice stadium and everything else, but come on, soccer. So anyway, and I know because people who love soccer really like take offense when you make fun of soccer. And so, I mean, I'm sure even MAGA people who are soccer fans are still refusing to get pissed about the guy getting removed from the stadium because they're for wearing a MAGA hat because they're so covetous of soccer. But anyway, apparently soccer is now in the wake of this debacle, this public relations. I guess it's really not a nightmare because St. Louis SC doesn't have the courage to say anything about it or even defend whatever policy they were enforcing. So, but that's not surprising because they're from the world of soccer. So anyway, these are the people who like flop and writhe all over the ground when they get touched like a little bit. That's why it's insane. These are the people who actually play professional games that wind up in a tie. So, and they think that's satisfying. So, I mean, come on. I mean, plus, can you imagine going to a St. Louis SC game and you pay all that money, do whatever, and it's 0-0 or 1-1? But again, it's soccer. So in the wake of what happened with the MAGA hat guy, I mean, this made national news. This started making, well, actually, I should say international news, because this is what happened in the wake of the guy getting kicked out.
Welcome back to Sports Dome. It's the startling confession that has the whole sports world buzzing. Soccer has come out of the closet to tell the world it's gay. A FIFA spokesperson made the announcement at a press conference earlier today.
Soccer is not ashamed of what it is. Soccer is a gay sport. Youth League soccer, the MLS, even the World Cup, all of it is completely gay.
Joining us now to discuss the impact of this is OSN senior analyst Reggie Greengrass. Reggie, why did soccer choose to come out now?
Mark, league officials said soccer was just tired of pretending to be something it's not. Deep down, soccer is about a bunch of guys running around, not touching a polka dot ball with their hands. It shouldn't have to hide how gay it is.
Now, will this change the way the game is played?
No, if anything, I think we'll see a firmer commitment to the gayest parts of soccer.
Interesting.
Players will feel free now to do their bicycle kicks, juggle the ball with their knees, and generally just be as gay as they want to be without worrying what people think.
You know, it must have been difficult for soccer to hide the fact that it was gay for so long.
Absolutely. From ancient Greece to modern day France, there has never been a time when soccer wasn't extremely gay.
Yeah. So anyway, that's how soccer is being viewed now around the world. International broadcasts and beyond are finally discovering the secret of how insufferable soccer really is and the entire soccer culture. Now, keep in mind also, I did go and try to find out what the MLS rules are. Like they have dress codes and things like that. Although someone was telling me when I told them that it looks like you can't even wear shorts or ball caps except on the terrace. So, I mean, even in their dress codes, you can't wear flip-flops. I mean, I get all of that, but come on. Who do you think you are? You're soccer, you're outside. It's 95 degrees and you act like you're Wimbledon or something, which is another insufferable entity. But nonetheless, they have pretty strict codes. You know, you can't really wear T-shirts that have a bunch of offensive stuff on it or whatever. So, you know, the soccer fans have to keep their Tasmanian devil shirts at home, I guess. And so anyway, I was looking for some consistency, like, well, maybe they just don't like political. Well, apparently you can't fly political statements, and that's where everything kind of went sideways because there were flags flying, pride flags and all that kind of stuff, and yet the guy can't wear a MAGA hat. But here's what St. Louis SC, the team itself, and the entire MLS, this is what they do. Because they're in the soccer realm and they have no balls, They won't say anything about it. They won't defend their policies. They won't address the ironies and the anomalies and everything else. And they figure that no one's going to cover it, right, in town, especially sports reporters in town, because our sports reporters in town suck up to the professional baseball and soccer teams. The Cardinals can do no wrong. They kiss up to upper management all the time. And so this is what we get. I mean, we don't really have, if this were Philly or someplace like that, St. Louis SC or Philly SC would have been run out of town by now. At the very least, cover the story. But they don't even cover the story because nobody wants to embarrass little baby soccer in St. Louis. And so that's kind of how things go. So you're not really seeing a whole lot of, if somebody were kicked out of a stadium for wearing a White Guys for Kamala hat or something, it'd be like internationally front page news, but it's not. And so you're not going to get that kind of coverage. But I got to tell you, when I heard the story, I wasn't the slightest bit surprised that being an a-hole and soccer were in the same sentence. So I'm just telling you. And of course, now I've just got my soccer bitterness out. And so I'm done. It's all good. If you really love soccer, I'm sorry, but I don't know why it is, but there seems to be a common thread throughout the entire culture, and it's not pleasing. Anyway, that's my story. That international story, though, man, just coming out and doing all that kind of stuff and announcing, it's comfortable in its own skin and everything else. I'm glad. I think everybody should be proud of who they are. And if you're a soccer person, be proud, stand strong, and just hang in there. Unlike Adam Kinzinger, who seemingly cannot hang in there. So Adam Kinzinger decides, hey, I know what I'm going to do. And to me, soccer and Adam Kinzinger are kind of the same. So Adam Kinzinger, is the never Trump former Republican congressman, everything else. And he's such a wuss. So he hates Donald Trump. So he decides he's going to do a selfie video about how narcissistic and attention grabbing Donald Trump is. Now, if you can imagine already, because I know you are, it's like, well, wait a minute. So wait a minute. You're telling me that he's doing a selfie video accusing President Trump of being a narcissist and trying to draw attention to himself. Wait, you're telling me that he had a selfie video calling Trump a narcissist and an attention grabber while holding a handheld microphone, which is what these guys are doing. There seems to be a lot of that going on, where some of especially with the leftists like Swalwell and these guys, they do these selfie videos, but they're holding a microphone, which is one of those little mini mics, which is entirely unnecessary if you've ever spoken into an iPhone. So he's holding this thing in his little fingers, like pinching it, and doing a selfie, complaining about what a narcissist and attention grabber President Trump is. This is what he had to say. Do we have the sound up there? Shoot, come on, Adam, you could do it. I don't know. My for some reason my sound isn't playing, but it's not much fun when it's not. Let me see if I can get it over here. But yeah, he's complaining about it. If you can imagine the irony of all that. Yeah, it's not playing.
MAGA and Trump's biggest supporter. So I think even MAGA and Trump's biggest supporters would admit, well, definitely on CIA Truth Juice, they would, that Donald Trump is a narcissist.
So he's sitting here taping himself, calling President Trump a narcissist who can't stop trying to call attention to himself. And this is while Adam Kinzinger is trying to call attention to himself.
I think that's kind. Like, this is a guy that can't function unless everything is about him. Everybody surrounding him talks about him. I mean, just watch one of his cabinet meetings. It's like watching.
It's a cabinet meeting with the president of the United States and his cabinet. So generally what's going to happen is at a cabinet meeting, the president of the United States will sit at a table and he'll be surrounded by his cabinet members who are going to be briefing him on things. So it's not as if this is the first time it's ever happened where a president sits around a big table with his cabinet. Yeah, he drags all these people. I don't even know who they are, all these people to surround him at his big table. I'm like, that's a cabinet meeting.
About him. I mean, just watch one of his cabinet meetings. It's like watching Kim Jong-un. But listen, that narcissism has led to this man having to be in our faces, in our lives every day. He cannot, let's think about this. He cannot wake up. He's 79 years old. He cannot wake up in the morning and be like, today, I don't care if people talk about me or not. No, he has to find a reason every day to be on the front page, to be the lead story.
Yeah. Okay, well, I guess that's a measure to you, Adam, for just wanting attention, let's say, on a Saturday, which is when you tape this or whatever, but you needed attention then. This is crazy. And by the way, President Trump is president of the United States, so pretty much everything he does is going to make news because he's president of the United States. And I know for whatever reason, Adam Kinzinger, it's weird because he's not like a millennial or anything. It's kind of weird. I don't know why he thinks that the president of the United States, why doesn't he take a break every once in a while? You ought to wake up and just someday say, I'm just going to sit around the house today and watch reruns of Gilligan's Island. Why doesn't he do that? I mean, seriously. Or Adam Kinzinger, why doesn't he wake up and just wallow in the dark trying to think of things to put in front of a video on your iPhone that will somehow disparage Donald Trump?
Because of his narcissism. He is creating all this drama so that his little tiny self, his little tiny image of himself can be satisfied every day.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah, right. So can you imagine being that mad about Donald Trump, that mad about losing, that mad about being wrong all the time? And I got to tell you, with the exception of you and me sometimes dabbling in a little Tea Party, stuff when Obama was around, my goodness gracious, we didn't nearly obsess over Obama. I mean, we made fun of him and stuff, but we didn't take Obama's presence as a personal affront, like a personal insult to us and our emotional well-being and our sense of self. And man, these people run around like President Trump somehow injured them or what have you. And it is really crazy. And Adam Kinzinger is the one who is very, very good at doing that. Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Monday to all of you and yours. Can we actually set the timer for when we can send Obama and Hillary to jail? Will that actually ever happen? Can it happen? Judge Napolitano, next up on the hit parade on this 3 martini lunch. Common Sense Radio. The Allman Report on News Talk STL.
Hickory dickory dock. I'm doing a flip such a
smart speaker, our mobile app, or newstalkstl.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, hey, Rob Very. Nice to see you on the Facebook feed. And also, then I can also personally thank you directly through the microphone for your support of free, common sense, conservative radio, STL Bath and Renovation. And I was showing homes all weekend long, and I got to tell you, I saw a few bathrooms that could use the Rob Very treatment. And sometimes, hey, listen, if you're about to sell your house, or maybe you just moved in and you're unhappy with the way the bathroom is, then remodel it, reimagine it with man-made cultured stone or natural stone that Rob and his team provide at a low maintenance and grout-free option for your next bathroom project. STLBR.com. St. Louis Bath and Renovation. And Rob has been in the business since he was just a kid. And now, as a grown-up and a very successful, talented man in his team, he is supporting your form of radio. He specializes in you, not only your type of radio, but your type of bathroom. Get a hold of Rob and the team today by going to stlbr.com. That's stlbr.com. Take the worry and the time. Your weekends are valuable to you. Why spend them cleaning grout? And by the way, they do the job from start to finish. It's not something they bust everything up on a Monday and then arrive back at the crib on a Friday. They're start to finish, AAA rated, A+ rated by the BBB. You don't have to worry about that. Specializing in you. Sometimes it's just if you need your bathroom repainted or maybe even just touched up, little remodel here, little remodel there. They'll take care of that as well. STL Bath and Renovation, STLBR.com.
Success. It's discipline. It's teamwork. It's the drive and passion inside of us that comes before all recognition. It's the best in each of us, made better by the best in all of us. Whatever success looks like to you, Stifel is invested in yours. That's why Stifel is one of the fastest growing global wealth management firms in the country. So whether you're an advisor or an investor, choose Stifel, where success means success. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Columbo here for my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton. The knowledgeable staff at Bluff City has served the St. Louis outdoor community for decades, and they can take care of all your bow hunting needs, all your trapping needs, all your fishing needs, and more. Plus, while you're there, you can schedule a trip with a local fishing guide and shoot in their archery range. Bluff City Outdoors is open 7 days a week, 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alton. Follow them on Facebook and at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
Right here.
You know what's going on?
Have a great awakening.
You see through the smoke screen.
It's cool to be woke. News Talk STL.
Until it's not.
News, analysis, opinion.
I try to discover a little something to make me sweeter. Oh, baby, refrain from breaking my heart. I'm so in love with you. I'll be forever blue. That you give me no reason.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Why you make me work so hard?
Welcome to News Talk STL. The Allman Report is Common Sense Radio. Good afternoon this afternoon. Time to go ahead and finish up that first martini, people. Come on. What are you doing? This American Eagle thing is not working out well for all the people who are upset about white people returning to commercials and pretty women in jeans and a company named American Eagle. You know, the Nazis had an eagle, you know. And Sydney Sweeney, you know, her initials are SS, of course. Well, then it's not going to make anybody any happier that Sydney Sweeney is a Republican. Came out. Oh, and President Trump is loving on that. And American Eagle stocks have spiked. I mean, just gone crazy. People are going to American Eagle in droves. President Trump on Monday. He kind of weighed in today through Truth Social and everything else. And we'll have Judge Napolitano on here like in just a couple minutes, and that'll be fantastic. So he decided to go on Truth Social. Sydney Sweeney, a registered Republican, has the hottest ad out there. It's for American Eagle, and the jeans are flying off the shelves. Go get them, Sydney. On the other side of the ledger, Jaguar did a stupid and seriously woke advertising, total disaster, and it turns out that's exactly and totally what happened. So all those who are upset about the American Eagle commercial, it just isn't getting any better for you. And if I'm you, I'm just kind of like, I'm just kind of sitting this one out. You know what I mean? Hey, ladies and gentlemen, my buddy, Judge Andrew Napolitano. Hey, just back from Italy, by the way. Maybe not just back, but you were in Italy for a little while, were you not, my friend?
I was, Jamie. Thank you. Yeah, I was traveling around Europe, but I spent a good 7 days on the shores of Lake Como, a beautiful, very relaxing, wonderful, beautiful place.
Wow. It's so beautiful out there. I just love it. And I'm glad you got a little bit of a break because you've been busy. So, hey, I wanted to ask you about the futures of Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and some of the others in the wake of the disclosure of some of these documents indicating they were part of possibly a conspiracy to conduct what some are calling a coup and everything else. What are their legal liabilities here?
Well, the short answer is none, because the federal statute of limitations for these crimes is 5 years, and these events, if they occurred as and when directors Gabbard and Ratcliffe say they did, they took place in 2016 and 2017. Why this stuff is coming out now, I really don't know. The only purpose that can be served now is a political purpose, to tarnish their reputations, to embarrass them, to cause people to shy away from Democratic leadership. But in terms of criminal prosecution, there's no criminal prosecution foreseeable. Now, Director Gabbard, much to my dismay, because she's taken the same oath I did to uphold the Constitution, used the phrase treasonous conspiracy. The reason I am dismayed is because treason is the only crime defined in the Constitution, and it's defined as waging war on the United States or giving aid and comfort to enemies of the United States in wartime. Now, that is nowhere near what she and the others have accused President Obama and Mrs. Clinton of doing. The reason I raise this is because if it were to be treason, there is no statute of limitations for treason. But this doesn't even come close with it. There was no war, there was no enemy, there was no aid and comfort to the country's enemies in wartime. Why she used the phrase treasonous conspiracy was probably to get it on the front pages, but it's highly inappropriate and utterly unacceptable from a person with her background in the government. She knows damn well what treason is, and this doesn't even come close.
And what do you think about the possibilities here in terms of, I guess, you know, what happens is sometimes it's the investigation itself that tends to trip people up. So it might not be that they're liable for anything criminally regarding the past, but might be in the course of the investigation, talking to the FBI or whatever it happens to be. Isn't it how a lot of people get burned?
Yeah. Yes, there's two areas here in which they can get burned. I don't know if Hillary Clinton has, but I'm pretty sure that John Brennan, James Comey, and James Clapper have testified before Congress fewer than 5 years ago. If anything in that testimony is perjury, obviously they could be prosecuted for that. The other thing you could be prosecuted for, and this is what you just mentioned, is lying to the FBI. This is a strange statute because the FBI is allowed to lie to you, but you can't lie to the FBI. I'm going to give you an extreme example. The FBI was after a Latin American drug dealer, and they weren't sure if they had the right guy, but they were pretty sure. And they found him in a phone booth in the old days when you actually had phone booths in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
They opened the door of the phone booth and they said to him, FBI, what's your name? And he replied in English, Nancy Reagan. Well, obviously it wasn't Nancy Reagan, but he was arrested for lying to the FBI. This guy never saw the light of day again, because once he was arrested, then they questioned him, they found out who he was, they prosecuted him, convicted him, he was sentenced to a life term. But the linchpin of it was this simple, silly, innocent lie, which was enough to justify the initial arrest. Otherwise, they would not have had enough to justify the arrest. They would have to have followed him and watched him until he did something for which they can arrest him.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. Well, I mean, I guess if that's their intention, I guess they can do anything. And I know that Martha Stewart kind of got wrapped up in all that, didn't she? It was over that insider trading thing or whatever, and then it turned out she said,
yes, that's a fascinating case, because in that very conversation where her lawyer said to her, is my client a target of this investigation? The FBI said no, and then they asked her about stock trading, and she lied. So in the very Q&A, they lied to her, she lied to them, she went to jail, the FBI agent got a promotion. Now, I have railed against this, as you know, on your show and elsewhere and in writing and all of that, but it's to no avail. Law enforcement, local, state, and federal, is imbued with the culture of lying, and the state legislatures and the U.S. Supreme Court have let them get away with it.
yeah, that's crazy. And I don't know why I've been so upset about for a long time about the Martha Stewart thing. I don't know why, because I just thought it was so unfair, and just the whole idea of nailing Martha Stewart when there are all these other people out there doing terrible things. It just really, that whole thing really bothered me. I don't know whether you know her or not, but it really did bother me.
I've met her a couple of times at Fox, but I wouldn't say that I know her. But I also railed against that prosecution. I mean, the feds have much better things to do with their resources than prosecute somebody like this over a simple, silly lie. You know, it's one thing. It used to be the FBI or the government would not prosecute you for lying unless your lie either sent them on a wild goose chase, or resulted in the acquittal of somebody who was guilty, but you provided a false alibi. Those would be a basis for a lie. But lying to somebody, lying to an FBI agent when they know it's a lie and they're not going to act on it, like this guy obviously wasn't Nancy Reagan. They knew she had already made these stock trades. Those lies should not be prosecuted, in my opinion, but they prosecute whoever they want.
Hey, let me ask you this then, too, because this is something, because I was thinking about you as I was making this statement and wasn't sure whether or not it seemed to be constitutionally consistent. So Josh Hawley, the senator from Missouri, last week they introduced the Pelosi bill, which was the owning of stock. It was an acronym, just happened to spell out Pelosi, right? So anyway, it was designed to keep members of Congress from owning stock or anything like that. And I said, well, I have a little bit of a problem with that, because we do have insider trading laws. We have laws against abuse of your position or whatever, or, we have all kinds of laws covering bad things you can do regarding your stock trading, everything else. So why would we deny citizens of the country just because of a job they have from owning stock? What do you think of that?
Well, I'm I'm with you on that. I don't care how rich she got him, but I go a step further. To me, insider trading should be permissible, and you should be able to trade on it. I have a secret. How much will you pay me for it? I mean, I'm a true free market person. I think these insider trading are people in jail who shouldn't be. They use creative ways to make money. I don't see anything wrong with it. But this is not the law today. I don't know. I'm not a fan of Senator Hawley at all. He's a Teddy Roosevelt, big government Republican. However, I think I understand where his heart is. He believes that certain members of Congress have used information that they knew and enriched themselves, and the public didn't know that information. I don't see any moral wrong with that. He does. I'm not criticizing him for it. I understand, and I accept his argument. I don't think they voted on it, Jamie. I think the Senate adjourned without passing this thing, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, no, I think they did. They didn't vote on it, so that's interesting. And just one more quick thing then. Given that, especially the insider trading laws, I want to go back also to things like Sarbanes-Oxley and all of these financial regulations that were imposed through supposed bipartisanship. You know, I mean, the McCain-Feingold bill was a disaster in bipartisanship. It was so anti-free speech. But the Sarbanes-Oxley thing, all these little regulations and things, it seems like they're sometimes just set up as spider webs more than anything else.
You know, if the history of the 20th century has taught us anything, it is that the central planning and the micromanaging of economic activity doesn't work. It enriches some people and it empowers government, but it doesn't work. Only the free market truly produces wealth. The other day on air, I said to one of my colleagues, said to me, "What do you think about Trump's demands for lower interest rates?" I said, well, if it was up to me, the Fed wouldn't exist, wouldn't set interest rates. Interest rates are the rent you pay to use somebody else's money. And with the exception of New York City, where temporary rent controls from 1943 are still in place, when you go to rent something, you negotiate with the person who's offering it out, and the free market prevails. It should be the same with money. I should be able to go to the bank and negotiate what I want the interest rate to be. No. We have this monstrosity that the Supreme Court has never ruled on the constitutionality of, called the Federal Reserve. It's not federal. It's not reserve. It's a private entity whose members are appointed by the government. It's allowed to print money, and it regulates the daylights out of the banks and tells them what they can charge. Nobody in the Federal Reserve has been a private banker who has had to make money in private industry. They're all bureaucrats.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I'm so glad you said that. I do remember back in the day when there were a couple people, they say, end the Fed, and everybody wrote them off as some kind of crazy person, just the same people who wanted to dissolve the UN, all that kind of stuff. And it turns out they were absolutely right. I know that Ron Paul talked about that quite a bit. And man, no truer words. I mean, I don't know why we allow ourselves to be led around by those. Now, let me ask you this. How much did Hamilton have to do with that?
Well, Hamilton proposed the first national bank of the United States.
Yeah.
Which was there have been three national banks, first, second, third. The third apparently morphed into the Federal Reserve, but all this started with Madison. Now, Madison's an interesting character, and I can only give you a few more minutes, but I'll give you the brief history.
Yeah.
Madison opposed the first national bank of the United States in one of the greatest speeches ever made on the floor of the Congress, called the Bank Speech. And in the Bank Speech, Madison, who wrote the Constitution and wrote the Bill of Rights, articulated the benefits of limited specific powers granted to the Congress and no more. He lost that, and the first national bank of the United States came into existence. And then it went out of existence automatically because it was a sunset. And then the Congress proposed the Second National Bank of the United States. And then the President of the United States was James Madison. And he vetoed the Second National Bank of the United States 3 times. And then it was proposed a 4th time. And in December of his 8th year in the White House, he only had 3 more years to go, and then he was retiring. He changed his mind and signed into law the Second National Bank of the United States. That produced a horrific case called McCulloch versus Maryland, which radically expanded the powers of the federal government. And after Hamilton was dead and buried, thanks to his being killed in a duel with Aaron Burr somewhere in the heavens, although considering it was Hamilton, he probably was in the underworld. He was
Yeah, I got to tell you, I love talking to you, but I love even more listening to you. So, Judge Napolitano, thank you so much, and enjoy seeing you on Newsmax all the time. The TV's always on here in the studio, and every once in a while I see your lovely face. So I appreciate you joining us, and again, for the insight and the history, really appreciate it all. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's a pleasure, Jamie. All the best to you, and congratulations on this great show. One of these days we'll get back to when I'm on the same day, the same time, like we did for about 5 years.
I know. I know you're so busy, though, but we'll talk down the line and see if we can work that out. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, my man.
All
All
right.
the best.
You too. That is Judge Andrew Napolitano. Isn't he so freeing? I mean, I realize sometimes, especially a lot of my listeners do have a problem with him because he'll say something provocative about President Trump or, things like that. And sometimes, or like Josh Hawley and those kind of things. But man, nobody is more freeing to talk to than him when it comes to things that really do matter to us on a regular basis. And he'll ask the question like, well, we shouldn't even have a Federal Reserve. And you're like, yeah, you're right. We should. Why do we have a Federal Reserve? Why can't we go to the bank and just negotiate our own interest rates, and the people with the lowest ones survive and the people with the highest ones go away? The free market. So many things that can be applied to that would make our lives so much more richer, freer, and I dare say fun. This is Common Sense Radio.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. News, analysis, opinion.
It almost seems common sense, but, alas, common sense isn't so common these days.
News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, Schneider's True Value Hardware, 100 years in the same place in Old Town St. Peter's, and that is legend. That is longevity. That is heritage. And I got to tell you, the folks over there, Jerry Schneider and his sidekick, Charlie, he's got a bunch of people there who are ready to help you with any weekend warrior project you're working on, any solution you need in terms of problems you have in your yard or at your house or whatever. If you're trying to do, for instance, some plumbing on your own, whatever, they can help you out with that. Everything from scoop to nuts, as the old guys used to say. And they also are the dealers in the steel products. These are the battery-operated hedge trimmers and lawnmowers and things like that. The steel product is really cool. It's one of the newer lines of the battery-operated type of tools, and they've got parts, service, everything else there for you, as well as the steel products. And they're all the rage these days. And so you can get them at Schneider's True Value Hardware Store. All you have to do is go to the web, truevalue.com/Schneiders, truevalue.com/Schneiders, right there in Old Town St. Peter's for more than 100 years. And, of course, they are proud supporters of free, common sense, conservative radio, Schneider's True Value Hardware.
Tony Colombo here for my dentist, Dr. Matt Boscia at New Creation Dental Care, the one-stop shop for all your family's dental needs. And Dr. Boscia is always expanding his services, now including the incredible all-on-4 full arch implant procedure Full mouth restoration that can give you back your smile in as little as 1 day. No more suffering with damaged or missing teeth or poor fitting dentures. You can see some amazing smile makeovers, learn more about the All-on-4 procedure, and see everything Dr. Boscia can do right now at newcreationdentalcare.com.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli here with our great friend Chris Cooper from Serenity Wealth Management. Hi, Chris. How are you, Vic? I don't want to put anybody else down, but when you go up and visit you at Serenity Wealth, your place looks like home.
So a lot of financial advisory offices, they have, the big mahogany desk or the big marble entryways and things like that. The stock market channel on the TV when you walk in the door, right? That doesn't really drive a good conversation. Good financial guidance and advice starts with a good conversation. People are nervous. People are afraid to talk about finances, right? And so you can see a little standoffish. Well, my objective is to try to have a good casual conversation. By having those conversations about life, goals, objectives, it's what makes me understand what our financials are supposed to fund.
So if somebody does want to have a good conversation, how do they do that? How do they find you?
Our website is the best way to do that because you can get all the information you need to understand where we are, get a little bit more information, all that. SerenityWealthNow.com.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
Ladies and gentlemen, Gemini Wealth Group, the Gemini Wealth Group. Jeff Portman is a fantastic, amazing financial advisor who will help you make your retirement sing, ladies and gentlemen, because you'll be singing for 20, 30, 40 years after retirement, the way people are living these days, according to the actuaries of the nation. And people, you don't want to be 30 years into retirement and then suddenly you're shaking the couch for extra change. That's not the way to go. Plan. If you haven't planned already, Gemini Wealth Group can help you go ahead and plan in the real way and make sure that you're diversified, that you're putting enough money into that account, that you are already planning for your tax liabilities, your healthcare liabilities, of course, your housing liabilities, all those kinds of things. Long-term thinking is what it's all about. So if you're about to retire, go ahead and call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123, 314-888-0123, or the GeminiWealthGroup.com, and let them sit down with you and go over everything, and then you'll be comfortable. If you're 2 years out of retirement, it's a great way to start. If you're 1 year into retirement, and I'm talking in ways that are not familiar to you, then you need to meet with these guys and let them take care of you and get into it. Always great to have a second opinion. And the Gemini Wealth Group, I'd prefer them to be your first opinion, but they're also a great second opinion for you. The GeminiWealthGroup.com or Jeff Portman directly at 314-888-0123.
On the next
Larry Connors USA.
With every Larry Connors USA program, you're going to get news, analysis, opinion, and education.
Larry Connors USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
I'm sorry for everything, everything I've done.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a Monday and the Allman Report. News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here, happy to be with you in Ashland over there, 101.9 and 94.1. So I'm in a little bit of a pickle on this one because I technically still work for iHeartMedia, because I do part-time work for them. So I do Phoenix Radio there on occasion. I'll be doing a lot of it in August, but yeah. So I'm technically still an employee of iHeart and also do radio in San Diego every once in a while. So Charlemagne is supposedly, I guess, technically a colleague of mine. So I really can't call him racist like Donald Trump did or stupid like Donald Trump did. And I'm also not going to refer to him as the God either. And I was, even when I was fully employed by iHeartRadio, I refused to call him Charlemagne the God because there is only one God. And it's not him. So, and I would never in a million years conduct such blasphemy. I'm not saying that he is blasphemous. I'm just saying that I'm not going to do that. So anyway, Charlemagne's on with Lara Trump. And it's too bad that he doesn't really understand this, because I think what's happening is he's just simply regurgitating stuff that he hears, and it's totally and completely anti-factual, which is really disappointing, because I actually think he's a smart guy. And he had some good things to say when he was talking about Kamala Harris during that election and everything else. But you really don't really come across as very intelligent when you're regurgitating easily and provably wrong facts.
No, you've been critical. You've had your bones to pick with President Trump. If you took his name out of it and looked solely at what has happened, the policies and the things that have changed around the world and in our country over the first 6 months, how do you rate his presidency so far?
I wouldn't give it a good rating,
Why not?
Simply because, the least of us are still being impacted the worst. Like when you look at something like, the big, beautiful bill, that's something that, I'm going to benefit from because of the tax bracket that I'm in. But, there's going to be so many people that's hurt by that bill. And, anything that, takes away Medicaid from people and is going to put people in a worse financial situation than, they were previously.
And then you just stop it there and you're like, okay, well, that's provably false. Lara Trump did not dig into how wrong that was nearly enough. I'm just going to take that one fact. And the reality is the Medicaid situation is only taking Medicaid away from people who are not legally receiving it. That's not a Medicaid cut. You sound like an idiot when you say that, when you talk like that. It just goes to show that you are not informed, and it really makes you look stupid when you regurgitate the idea that Republicans are cutting Medicaid. So anybody who's out on the street saying that with signs in their hands, any Democrat politician who says that is not only wrong, but they're also lying. Most of them are knowingly lying. Like a Chuck Schumer knows he's lying. I think Charlemagne is just stupid and uninformed and doesn't understand that. But these individuals just sound really dumb when they do that. I mean, or, if you don't believe me, Charlemagne, or anybody realistically, I'll guide you so you can watch CNN and Harry Enton, who came out with another blockbuster over the weekend. It's incredible. Also coming up, ladies and gentlemen, I was listening to Maria Bartiromo and Mark Wayne Mullen on her show the other morning as I was driving around showing houses. And Mark Wayne Mullen didn't realize it, but he was giving up a secret that the Uniparty actually has hidden for a while, but it's really obvious with the latest on what happened with this recess attendance. So also the MAGA hat kicked out of the insufferable St. Louis City soccer game has just made Newsmax. So it's making the rounds, but very few people even covering it here locally. So that's kind of crazy, but I hit it right off the top. We'll be back. This is the Allman Report on Newstalk STL.
Dr. Randy Tobler here, and I know that when you're looking for a dentist, you have to make sure you choose a dental practice that's compatible with you and the needs of your family. Well, I'd like to tell you about my dentist, Dr. Dan Cusimano, and his partner, Megan Dwyer, and their team at Advanced Dentistry at St. Charles. The great team at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles can accommodate all of your cosmetic and restorative needs because their passion is general dentistry. Implants, crowns, bridges, even dentures. That what you need the most is what they'll provide in a personalized, focused way. And they can provide therapeutic and cosmetic options like Botox and dermal fillers. Get to know them and all they have to offer by calling 636-978-0226 or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com. That's Dr. Daniel Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles.
That's Advanced Dentistry Now, 636-978-0226. Or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com.
Hey, Mike Ferguson here. And for nearly 40 years, Nutrition Stop has been St. Peter's trusted source for natural living. They've got a great, knowledgeable staff offering more than just products. They provide guidance on your wellness journey with exceptional service. From 100% grass-fed meats like elk and bison and local produce to quality supplements and clean household products, 4101 Mexico Road in St. Peter's, just off the interstate at Cave Springs and Highway 70.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have? Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine-in or carry-out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a taste of Moscow Mills' finest. Harry J's, more than a steakhouse. We're a tradition.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. A strike by several thousand of its machinists, the latest challenge facing aerospace giant Boeing.
This latest industrial action to hit Boeing follows a vote by members of the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers Union on Sunday to reject the company's latest offer on pay and work schedules. Around 3,200 employees at facilities in Missouri and Illinois are expected to join the walkout. Boeing said it was disappointed but had contingency plans in place. The company has faced a difficult few years following a number of incidents involving its aircraft.
The BBC's Tom Bailey says the striking workers build fighter jets. This is Boeing's second strike in less than a year. Governor Greg Abbott said Texas House Democrats have until 3 p.m. local time, 2 hours from now, to return to the State House for a special session on redistricting or risk losing their jobs. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton suggested Democrats who left should be arrested and forcibly brought back. Also at townhall.com, former U.S. soldier Michael Paul Brown, suspected of killing 4 people at a Montana bar, still at large and believed to be armed. That shooting Friday morning at the Owl Bar in Anaconda, Montana. At a news conference, Montana Attorney General Austin Knudsen.
We want to find this guy. This is a dangerous individual who has committed an absolutely heinous crime against this community and these victims. I'll go ahead and announce right now that at this time we have a $7,500 reward, and that's just the initial reward.
The 45-year-old military veteran has reportedly struggled with mental illness for years, according to family members. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Charlie Kirk here. I've been thinking, why does it feel like losing weight is harder than ever before? Mixed messages, fad diets, and quick fix solutions. Many people are left stuck and exhausted trying to fight a battle they can't seem to win. If you feel this way, you're not alone. I used to feel that way too. But let me tell you, it's not your fault. Your body is working against you, and delaying action only makes it harder. I took a step 2 years ago and called PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition and lost 40 pounds. I feel great and have kept it off. If you are ready to make a change for life, call 855-696-2020. That is 855-696-2020 to schedule your weight loss consultation. The first 11 callers who mention healthy will get 2 free weeks added to their weight loss package. Call 855-696-2020 and mention the word healthy. Visit them at myphdweightloss.com. That is myphdweightloss.com. It works, everybody. Check it out at myphdweightloss.com.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
We're starting to warm up a little bit, but still a nice summer day with some isolated spot showers or thunderstorms from the metro area east in the afternoon and evening. But the high, very pleasant, 83 degrees, not too humid. The heat index up to maybe 85 this afternoon. Lows tonight in the upper 60s. Pretty much the same story tomorrow. The high a couple of degrees warmer. So is the heat index, maybe 85 for the temperature, 88 tomorrow with a spot shower or thunderstorm. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Hey there, Tim Jones here. When life changes, you need someone you can trust. That's Todd Sivia. At Sivia Law,
They're dedicated to helping you through all of life's transitions, specializing in estate planning and elder law. With 7 convenient locations in the area, expert guidance is always close by. Call 833-995-WILL, 833-995-WILL, or visit civialaw.com. Don't forget, first 10 people that tell them Tim Jones sent me get a free $300 strategy session. Civia Law, helping you protect what matters most.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros, your all-in-one gutter service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. We discovered Gutter Pros a few years ago when we bought our home and inherited a gutter issue that was on the road to becoming a potentially big problem, but thanks to Gutter Pros was stopped before causing any major damage. They've also repaired the siding on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros are also the best for siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros can help your home at gutterpros.com.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Myella Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmostscholars.org. That's herzogmostscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
News, analysis,
I'm glad you're talking about this.
opinion.
I'm glad you're fired up about it too, because I know I am.
News Talk STL. This hour of the Allman Report brought to you by Proctor Drapery Blinds and Shutters. Proctor, spelled like doctor. ProctorDrapery.com.
I'm trying to tell you something about my life. Maybe give me insight between black and white. And the best thing you ever done for me is to help me take my life less seriously. It's only life after all.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
Darkness has a hunger that's insatiable.
Jamie Allman here with you.
And lightness has a call that's hard to hear.
News Talk STL, people.
Wrap my fear around me like a blanket.
I got another blockbuster from
I sail my ship of safety till I
Gil
sink
Sedaka's
it.
son-in-law, Harry Enton,
Shores.
over there at CNN.
Went to doctor.
So, yesterday morning, I'm listening to Sunday Morning Futures in the Jeep and listening to Maria Bartiromo's show, and she's got Mark Wayne Mullen on the show with her, and they're talking about this process that kind of fell apart regarding the approval of the Trump nominees, and there were Democrats who stonewalled it, and this has happened before. Republicans have stonewalled it too, and Thune got in the way, and this really should happen. It's normal protocol for the senators to give President Trump or any sitting president the leisure of having his nominees push through. It's just normal course. But it becomes abnormal when you have shysters like Chuck Schumer and others who are breaking the rules. But here is the thing. Until you realize that there are rules, you're thinking this is just kind of some kind of organic process of approving nominees. But in this interview with Maria Bartiromo, apparently this has been kind of some gentleman's arrangement between Republicans and Democrats that when these nominees come up, you are to ask for a certain amount of money for some of your pet projects in order to push them through. So The Republicans in 2021, when Biden has his nominees, they did so, they approved them, but they were also approving them with strings attached because they wanted some money for their pet little projects. Fast forward now to 2025, and the Republicans get caught at the game Republicans and Democrats have been playing all along, except you got a shyster like Schumer who's going to kind of blow the lid off of everything by asking for too much money. Now you're thinking, well, this shouldn't be about money, but it is, because this is the uniparty and that's how they operate. They are confidence game players is what they are. So Markwayne Mullin is on with Maria Bartiromo, and you'll notice how hard it is for him to kind of hide the fact that this is really just a disgusting process that actually involves a price. And you'll also notice he's almost says the word price, but he stops himself in his tracks. Just listen to how this goes.
With what you witnessed firsthand last night in the Senate, because President Trump tweeted that Chuck Schumer was trying to extort his Republican colleagues, extortion on America. Can you tell us what happened as you tried to get across the finish line President Trump's nominees?
So Chuck Schumer was trying to extort, and I'm not defending Chuck Schumer. I'm just saying that Chuck Schumer was only playing the game that has been firmly established for the last 40 years in Washington. Extortion is actually part of the whole game. And you'll notice that Markwayne Mullin isn't going to call it extortion necessarily because he knows what the truth is. The only thing is that Chuck Schumer decided he was going to ask for like a ton more money. And so that's how it all worked out.
Or pretty much, bipartisan people.
Yeah, so first of all, we have 61 nominees that have been voted out of the committee to report to the floor that's got bipartisan support. And President Trump was very engaged for 3 days with myself and a few other members negotiating the
See, he almost said price, didn't he? Right? Negotiating the so really that's what this is about. Is it's about not doing the right thing or whatever. It's about price. And Markwayne Mullin almost said price. In fact, he almost said price a few times.
Got bipartisan support. And President Trump was very engaged for 3 days with myself and a few other members negotiating really the hostage release. I hate to say it that way, but that's what it is, because President Trump's the first president in history not to be able to have one single nominee go through by UC, but that's unanimous consent, or by a voice vote.
So that's because the Democrats are wanting more money. But they didn't invent this game, and Republicans didn't invent it either. But Democrats didn't invent this game. They're playing in it, but now they're ruining it for everybody because they're asking for too much money. And you know what happens? When let's say a group of thieves, there's always one that gets a little too greedy, and then it blows the lid off of everybody. So that's what happened here.
We're trying to break the logjam. And the price kept going up. We started at $800 million for pet projects for Schumer, and then they kept raising the number to $1.3 billion.
So then he finally does say the price. He says the price kept going up, and I love this because I'm listening to this live, and I'm thinking, man, I hope Maria Bartiromo goes back to this, because to me and everybody listening to that broadcast, they're hearing Markwayne Mullin just casually mention the concept of a price. And we're thinking, wait a minute, a price? What are you talking about? I thought this was just governmental operations, and now suddenly we're talking about a price. I mean, this is probably the biggest news of the day as far as I'm concerned, and I'm so glad, and you'll notice here that Maria Bartiromo does double back on it.
And a lot of this had to do with money going to Gaza, which, keep in mind, Hamas hasn't even released the hostages, but yet they're wanting to send more money to Gaza. And then they kept dropping the number of nominees to the point where President Trump late last night just said, go pound sand. We're not doing this anymore. He's not going to hold the American taxpayer hostage for Chuck Schumer's fear to stand up to his base, because that's what it really is about. It's about he can't figure out how to sell this because he's running scared of AOC running against him, who could probably beat him in a Senate race in New York.
Now, hold on a second, because look, this is a duly elected president, and his agenda was elected by the American people. So President Trump has an agenda, and he has nominees that he wants to fill those roles to execute that agenda. These people, these 61 people that you're talking about, are all bipartisan. But you just said the price kept going up. I don't understand this, Senator. What do you mean the price kept going? In other words, you have to pay to get President Trump's nominees across and confirmed? I don't get that. What do you mean the price kept going up?
Now, you'll notice here, and it's a great question, because that's exactly what I was feeling when he was talking about the price and going, this is all crazy and corrupt. But see, it turns out that he knows that this is what happens because Republicans had a price in 2021, and the Democrats paid it for them to go ahead and put Biden's guys through. So Republicans know exactly what this whole game is about because they played it in 2021.
Well, they wanted something in return, and that is negotiating, right? You negotiate a little bit, but they kept.
So now he's saying, well, they wanted something in return, and he's got to admit that it's like, yeah, and he almost said, like, this is what we do all the time, right? And the only thing that happened is that Schumer just didn't keep a lid on the racket. Again, among the thieves, the one guy who gets too greedy ruins it for everybody. So it exposes the entire racket, and that's what happened here. Although I don't think many people picked up on it, but Maria Bartiromo did.
Changing their price because they never wanted a deal. Now, keep in mind, none of us wanted to work with Biden administration, but we all do feel like that regardless of who the president is, they have the right to put their people in place. And so we held our nose in 2021 and actually struck a deal to be able to allow 44 bipartisan nominees to go through.
Yeah, and again, struck a deal. So he's admitting that in 2021, we did this, and we got paid off by the Democrats. We got our little pet projects paid for. But now the essence of this complaint really in the end is that Chuck Schumer is just asking for too much money. Chuck Schumer is the thief that got too greedy.
The Biden administration, and which was, unfortunately, we thought we was working like the Senate is supposed to work. What's happened now, their hatred towards President Trump, their fear.
Yeah. So again, that was in 2021 when he said, he's saying right now, he says, we thought we were working the way the Senate's supposed to work. And that's through, you have your nominees, we go ahead and we'll approve them once you give us a certain amount of money that will outline all the things it's for and everything else. And you give us a certain amount of money and we'll go. So that's how the Senate, so Markwayne Mullins, that's how the Senate operates. Now, a lot of you might think, wow, Jamie, nice of you to wake up and fall off the turnip truck. Why is this so surprising to you? Well, it kind of is because, I've talked a lot about this and how what everybody pretends is some kind of natural process and organic process really is just a deal. It's kind of like when you are in court or whatever, suing somebody or getting sued or whatever, and then you'll walk by a window of a restaurant and see both your lawyer and the opposition's lawyer having a drink together. That's really what this was like for me to listen to this interview, realizing, yeah, you know what? It turns out these guys really they might represent their people or what have you, but there's always some kind of deal being made. It always involves money. And if the money isn't enough, your tax dollars, by the way, if the money isn't enough, then they don't play the game anymore.
Literally, their fear of their base has allowed them or has kept them from being able to move forward at all. And so when I say by the price going up, they kept going. You had Elizabeth Warren, you had Brian Schatz, you had Cory Booker demanding them not to work with Republicans at all. Don't work with this president. I mean, my goodness, we saw the rant.
And that was a game being played because they were going to refuse to cooperate at all, just to kind of get a leg up on the money and everything else. And so That was pretty revealing. And again, I'm not trying to defend Chuck Schumer in any way, shape, or form, but Schumer is just playing a game that everybody plays.
And unless I seek my soul,
It's played every day up there. Schumer's just a greedy pig, that's all, and ruins the racket, you know. Gives up the goods. Now we know. All right, coming up. Yeah, another really amazing hit from Neil Sedaka's son-in-law, Harry Enton, over there at CNN. This is Common Sense Radio.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's interesting. Being in real estate has been really kind of fun, especially as it reflects on a lot of my people who are sponsoring the show and everything else, because I see interiors of homes and exteriors of homes, and even, with like Rob Berry, seeing some of the bathrooms or whatever. And I have seen a lot of driveways and walkways and patios that are cattywampus. They're tilted. They're they're kind of separating or doing whatever, or they're lifting up or sinking down or whatever. That's the time for poly time. That is the time for polyjacking. Now, I know that a lot of people are used to the term mudjacking, and that happens a lot. But polyjacking is a lot stronger. Polyjacking is a lot longer lasting when it comes to all you can do. And Carvin Hughes, who is a U.S. Marine, so this is a veteran-owned company, will be there for you for the longer lasting solution compared to mudjacking, known as polyjacking. Precision concrete leveling, restoration services available as well for your concrete. They can handle all of your concrete problems, and no job is too big or too small. Free estimates. You can call them at 636-487-3282, or better yet, it's polytime.com is the website. It's polytime.com. Carvin Hughes, thank you for your service, and thank you for your support of free, common sense, conservative radio.
Attention all gun enthusiasts. Don't miss the big DeSoto Gun Show, August 10th and 11th at the Knights of Columbus Hall in DeSoto, Missouri. Over 450 tables of pistols, handguns, rifles, long guns, shotguns, ammo, and more. The fun starts Saturday, August 10th at 9 a.m. and continues all weekend. Admission just $10 and good for the entire weekend. 12 and under, get in free with discounts for veterans and first responders. The big DeSoto Gun Show at the DeSoto, Missouri Knights of Columbus Hall the weekend of August 10th. More info at bkeypromotions.us.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
On my way to work in the morning.
Usually I'm in the car.
I listen on the app in my car every morning going to work.
Download the News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
Who's to say what's impossible will they forgot? This world keeps.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Common Sense Radio, the 3 Martini Lunch. Jamie Allman here, Ashlyn over there, and this is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Happy Monday to all of you and yours. Every summer, it seems, there's a story about some swarm of something. It's usually a bug. I think they talked last time about like bees or something, and bees that have like fires in their butts or something, and they come and light everybody on fire when they sting them. Or what did they call that one time? Super hornets or something? Super hornets are coming to the United States of America from Bali. I'm like, how are they going to get here? They fly, wings. Like, okay. Like a transatlantic wasp or something, or a hornet. Then it never happens, but the fear is enough just to kind of get everybody going. It's kind of like, that. We saw that with COVID. So here's the thing. Apparently, according to this article, the spiders, these are tarantulas, and it's tarantula mating season. And I've never really seen a tarantula. I think I've seen them at the zoo or something before, but thousands of the male spiders, the tarantulas, will emerge from their burrows in search for a mate or die trying. Apparently, they're looking for human females to mate. No, I'm just kidding. Don't worry, ladies. September through November is when you'll most likely see them. Western or southwestern United States, you'll see them. They wait for the first fall seasonal rain. Then they come into your basements and climb into your toilets and up your butt while you're using the bathroom. No, I didn't. I'm just making that part up. I don't know why I'm so scared of stuff like that, like like going to outhouses and things like that and snakes. And that's why I hate camping. Camping people. We're going to go camping. You're going to purposely sleep outside and cook outside without an oven or a microwave or anything or a grill. No, we're going to build it. We're going to gather some wood. You're gathering wood? Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's just what I want to do is be in a forest where there are a bunch of trees. I know it's sunny outside, but I can't feel the sun because the trees are all hiding the sun, and I'm looking for sticks for a fire when I could be on the beach drinking a pina colada. Oh, no, it's fun. It's really exciting. If you're lucky enough, you can sometimes see them in hordes crossing the roads at certain times of the year. This is according to a scientist. And isn't it funny how he terms it, if you're lucky enough? It's like, what do you mean if I'm lucky enough, I'll see hordes of tarantulas? That's luck? You kidding me? While a tarantula bite can be painful, its venom isn't toxic for humans. So you can go ahead and get your ass bit off all day long by a tarantula. No need to worry. But he says, I recommend you leaving it alone if you see one. It's a wild animal. It doesn't want to be picked up and loved and hugged. Don't worry. I'm not going to pick up and love a tarantula or hug one too. They're very docile. Tarantulas are kind of cool. But I don't want to, I don't live in Overland, so I don't have them crawling all around my living room. You know what's going on in Overland, right? Ferrets, snakes, aquariums. For some reason, they're all over Overland. That's apparently where people go. You guys know the people who have the ferrets on their shoulders, those people, right? Yeah. Okay. While they're gaming. Mm-hmm. Anyway, although right now, what's going to be happening is the hordes are going to be arriving here in the United States. And you don't want to go near their eggs or anything else. And they will go all over the place and eventually take over the world. I remember seeing a movie when I was a kid with my dad, because we saw like every 70s, late 60s movie ever made. So we would go either to a war movie or we would go to a Western or whatever. Oh, and by the way, Ranger Dennis says, you were always right about soccer, Jamie. I know. You guys all defended soccer, everything else, until, you realize what soccer is really all about. And it's about kicking a MAGA hat out of the stadium that your tax dollars help build. Anyway, but I told you this like 10 years ago, what the deal was with it. So anyway, I remember seeing a movie called Bug. Or was it Bugs? You guys remember what I'm talking about. So there was like an earthquake, and the bugs that basically look like cockroaches came out of the cracks in the earth and started attacking everybody or doing whatever. I couldn't believe they made like a whole movie out of that. And I remember seeing Anaconda, which is about a an anaconda. It's like for some reason everybody was always doing something stupid in a swamp. Like, I know it's 8:00 at night. Let's go swim in the swamp. I mean, gee whiz. I barely like swimming in a lake in the broad daylight, for crying out loud. That's a swamp at 8:00. And of course, as you would expect, the anaconda would then summarily eat them like they deserved. One of my favorite things before I move on here is I want to get to Neil Sedaka's son-in-law. But anyway, real quickly. So apparently, you guys know, and Joey would know this, Creve Coeur Cinema is still open and still is one of the groundbreakers in watching movies, because I remember going there. I'll never forget this. It was in the 70s. I believe it was like 77 or something. And we saw the movie Earthquake at Creve Coeur Cinema. And Earthquake, this was the introduction of Dolby surround sound. So they had you go to the Creve Coeur Cinema, and then they had the speakers, like Dolby speakers, lining the back of the entire cinema. And it was the craziest thing, because, imagine going to movies your whole life and basically just having the sound come out of the speakers at the front of the place or whatever. But the Dolby sound was like, it was almost like 3D sound. So you could hear glass breakage. Oh, Sensurround. Thank you, Phyllis. I called it surround sound. You're right. It's Sensurround. Thank you. Phyllis is always right about this stuff. I think Phyllis is actually part human, part AI. I think before there was AI, there was Phyllis, and she knows everything. All you have to do is ask her, and she knows everything. So, and I don't even have to ask her. That's what crazy. With AI, you have to actually like ask it a question or do whatever. With Phyllis, you never have to ask a question. You just have to say, I don't know, and then she pop in with the answer to your question. So you never even have to ask her, which is even more perfect than even a robot. It's crazy. Anyway, it was Sensurround. And so you'd go there and you could hear the glass breaking and it was like really crazy. And then we saw it was a great for disaster movies, because we saw also the Towering Inferno there. And you can imagine that was friggin' crazy. And if I'm not mistaken, I heard somebody, I can't remember, it was one of my daughters or whatever, they saw a movie at the Creve Coeur Cinema, and I can't remember what it was. Oh, it was like Smell-O-Vision or something. It was like, or something where they were spraying smells or scents. And I'm telling you, I think it was at the Creve Coeur Cinema. Rob Very. To the listening audience, this is the only place where you can get politics, tarantulas, Al Roker's Kitchen, and Sensurround. That's right. And don't forget Neil Sedaka's son-in-law.
The Donald Trump.
And I love this guy. His name is Harry Enton. And I don't know whether he's really conservative as much as he's like the true reporter, like the true journalist at CNN. Because, and I don't even know what Neil Sedaka's politics are. I mean, I don't, you know how Neil Sedaka is one of those guys who's like just plays music and, looks at you while he's playing the piano. Hi, everybody. I'm Neil Sedaka. I'm going to stare at you and smile at in your face at you while I'm playing the piano. And he doesn't go on Twitter and just like drops it. Blah. But anyway, Harry Enton, it's unbelievable how, I guess I should say generous he is, but he's not really being generous. He's just reporting the facts about President Trump in this term.
The Donald Trump administration is arguably the most influential this century, and probably as well dating back a good portion of the last century as well.
I mean, you got to be kidding me. That's coming from Harry Enton, who says the most influential administration this century and maybe even part of the last one. I'm like, wow.
Well, love it, like it, lump it. Trump is remaking in the United States of America. Let's talk about tariffs first, right? There's all this talk that Donald Trump always chickens out when it comes to tariffs. No tacos for Trump. The effective tariff rate, get this, it's 18%, the highest since the FDR administration in the 1930s, up from, get this, just 2% last year. From just 2% last year, we're talking about a level, an effective tariff rate level, get this, 9 times as high this year than last year. But it's not just on tariffs, which of course Donald Trump ran on, in which you're seeing a tremendously influential presidency. What about immigration? Of course, Trump ran and has always run on a very hawkish immigration platform. Get this, 2025 net migration in the United States down at least 60% from last year. In fact, we may be heading for the first time in at least 50 years in which we have net negative migration into the United States. And last year, of course, in 2024, the net migration in the U.S. was 2.8 million. This year, we might be talking about negative net migration. My goodness gracious.
60%. And what's crazy about this is you don't even hear this stuff on Fox. And of course you won't, because, Fox tries to play this game where, Julie saw Carol wins, Neil Sedaka Carol wins. I always get him confused with Terry Jacks, the one who wrote the song Seasons in the Sun. We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun. Remember those awful songs from the 70s? Like the roller skate and Brand New Key one, and The Night Chicago Died, all those miserable, or Shannon, about the dog that disappeared out to sea. Man, as a kid in the 70s, when I heard some of that music, I wanted to put a plastic bag over my head and suffocate myself. I was so depressed listening to just the radio. Gee whiz. The Night Chicago Died? I think that's a good song. Gee whiz. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah. So I don't even hear Fox saying things like this, or even giving us these kinds of Run Joey Run too, Julie. Remember those? About a dad who chased after a boyfriend and shot him with a shotgun. That's a song. Run, Joey, run. My goodness. How did they do that to us? Between that and having to read the books I had to read in private school at the time before I got kicked out. It's like Catcher in the Rye and A Separate Piece and All Quiet on the Western Front. I'm like telling my teachers, I'm 13. Lord of the Flies, which is probably a good one. But, I'm like 13 years old. I shouldn't be reading A Separate Piece right now about these two depressed, psychotic people. And Holden Caulfield is a toxic, soon-to-be serial killer. Why are we even dealing with this right now? Anyway, you don't hear this stuff on Fox because they're Rupert Murdoch, and they do play that, they always, they love veterans and they love the law enforcement. I get all that kind of stuff. And Greg Gutfeld's fantastic, and he just states it, but they don't give like these kinds of numbers out, even on Fox. And believe me, Harry Enton is depressing all those people. Yeah, Scotty, of Mice and Men too. I mean, now that one I read, I think in maybe 6th grade or 7th grade. That wasn't too bad. But then there was one about the horse. I can't remember. What's his nuts wrote that one about a horse. I can't remember. But anyway, this is shocking to all of the anchors and reporters at CNN who are having to look at this and see.
Now, of course, this is part of a larger story, as I was mentioning. We're talking about immigration, net migration. We're talking about the effective tariff rate. But get this, how is Donald Trump doing it? Well, he is signing a ton of executive orders. Get this, 180, the most in a year since Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Oh, my goodness, you have to go back to the first half of the 20th century, the last century. And to make a comparison, Joe Biden signed, get this, just 77 during his entire first year. And we're only a little bit in August so far. And Donald Trump making history with 180 executive orders signed so far this year.
I mean, that's incredible. Now, again, you can. I know. Oh, I know. You're a libertarian and you're a pearl clutching, nail filing, amazing, thoughtful, political genius, and you're concerned about the number of executive orders because that's not really what the Constitution is all about. We have a legislative process, and this kind of thing. And I hate to burst your bubble, intelligent, brilliant, sage of a political analyst you are, but an executive order is absolutely quintessentially constitutional. The Constitution gives hugely broad powers to the executive branch, whether you like it or not. The idea that somehow executive orders are a matter of abuse, it depends. You can look at it that way. One thing President Trump has not done that Obama did was brag about the pen. I got the pen and the phone. I have the pen and the phone, and that's all he has. All he has to do is just write it out, do everything. And these were negatively consequential to regular, average, everyday Americans, and he knew it. Same thing with Biden. Name one executive order that President Trump has signed that has negatively affected law-abiding, regular, run-of-the-mill, average Americans. And I guarantee you can't.
So that's why I said that in my mind, Donald Trump is the most influential president of this century and probably dating back a good portion of the last century. That is because he is remaking the country in terms of tariffs. He is remaking the country in terms of net migration, and he is remaking the country in terms of how much policy changes he's putting through in executive orders. As I said, it truly is history making. Love it, like it, or lump it.
Yeah, pretty crazy, huh? I mean, I think at this moment after that one, because that was pretty provocative. I think after that one, while Harry is at home for the evening, I'm sure they're going to come out and they're going to build like a trap door that they can, with a lever on it, that they can pull whenever he gets a little too much, Pull that lever and Harry just disappears into the bottom there. Crazy, huh? Good afternoon, everyone. All right. It's time to slam that third martini. It's Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
Free speech is alive and well in America right here.
It's about time somebody stood up for true American values.
What this country needs is some backbone.
Finally, a president who wants to make real change.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Window World. Oh, my Lord, these windows are perfect. I again, I'm going to revert to my real estate line because I go in there. I've seen windows that need to be replaced because you can tell because on some of these windows, they are foggy and the seal is broken and you can't clean them. You know what I'm talking about. Well, those windows need to be replaced and can be replaced very easily with my friends at Window World and at a fantastic price. They're simply the best for less. 314-993-1800, the preferred window of the St. Louis Blues, the preferred window of Good Housekeeping Magazine, the preferred window of Qualified Remodelers Magazine, which is saying, wow, they sell the most windows of anybody in the United States of America. A lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. And on top of that, my friends, they also are giving you some great deals when it comes to financing, and same as cash financing and on down the line. Again, you get a free estimate. Somebody can come to your home. You could even have them stand on the window to see if it's going to break. And I'll tell you one thing, it's not going to break. So I'll go ahead and cheat and jump right to the chase here. They're not going to break, but you can prove it yourself. Simply the best for less. Window World, 314-993-1800, 314-993-1800.
Success. It's discipline. It's teamwork. It's the drive and passion inside of us that comes before all recognition. It's the best in each of us, made better by the best in all of us. Whatever success looks like to you, Stifel is invested in yours. That's why Stifel is one of the fastest growing global wealth management firms in the country. So whether you're an advisor or an investor, choose Stifel, where success meets success. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Hey, Tony Colombo here with Tim Jones for our friends Rodney and Jen Wallner, the Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway, the #1 home selling team in the St. Louis area. And I can say that from firsthand experience. My wife and I were blown away from the results that we saw from working with Rodney and Jen, from selling our old home faster and for more money than we thought possible to finding our family's perfect new home. They over-delivered every step of the way. And right now, it's still very much a seller's market. So, Tim, for folks that have been thinking about selling their home, it's a perfect time to call the Wallners.
That's right, Tony. And don't forget, they're licensed in both Missouri and Illinois. So no matter where you are in the metro area, you can put St. Louis's #1 home selling team to work for you. The Wallners' experience and work ethic, second to none. And of course, the numbers speak for themselves. The Wallners sell 15 times more homes per year than the typical realtor. Right now, they're working with so many qualified buyers, they'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. If you've been thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD for the Wallner home selling team.
Ladies and gentlemen, Stewart's American Mortgage. I got to tell you, I love Jordan and Stewie. These guys are so great. I actually am not necessarily a customer of theirs, but I am an associate of theirs because I have them do a lot of my lending deals or the lending deals for my clients who buy homes and things like that. And on down the line, they're going down to almost zero closing costs. Those are always a concern for a lot of people. And especially these outrageous lenders fees that so many others are charging, which is why they're always like, they can't do that. Yes, they can, because they have such volume. And again, they're not going to charge people all this money for credit pulls or loan fees or all these kinds of things. So the fees are super low and the service is super great. And Jordan and Stewie are the kind of people who, once you get their phone number, whatever, you can always call them and they'll respond to your phone call. So that's really a key at Stewart's American Mortgage, stewartsamc.com. Stewie, I always call him, of course, but you can check it out too. Just Google the bagel loan and you'll get their phone number that way. And that bagel loan means zero. And that's what it's going to amount to for you. But a big, huge plus for all of your home buying, for your loan consolidations, for your debt consolidations, for your refis. They've certainly got it going on at Stewie's American Mortgage, stewartsamc.com. Just Google the bagel loan. Google the bagel loan.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Border crossings are at an all-time low. We're talking with Laura Reese from Heritage and also Susie Moore from RedState.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
She said, I'm going out with my girlfriends. Margaritas at the Holiday Inn. Oh, have mercy, my only thought was tequila makes her clothes fall off. I told her put an extra layer on. I know what happens when she drinks Patron.
Good afternoon, everyone.
'Cause it's missing half the things she bought. Yeah, tequila makes her clothes fall
This
off.
is Common Sense Radio and the Allman Report.
She'll start by kicking out of her shoes.
Super happy to be with you on this Monday. This Joe Nichols song is so great. It's written so well.
Drop a contact down the sink.
Old school. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. You guys know that I'm somewhat hung up on the whole thing about COVID because I just think it was such a disaster. It was so on purpose. It was such a lie. It was used to abuse children. It was used to kill elderly people and those who got COVID with the ventilators and all that kind of stuff. It was used to control businesses. It was used by fascists like Sam Page to just make people miserable. And it was supported by probably a little more than half of this country. Your neighbors and other people who turned into a bunch of wild, totally neurotic, paranoid weirdos. Never seen anything like it. It was so destructive to our psychology. I think a lot of people, though, have kind of come back from all of that and are in the mode of never again. And I'm telling you what, never again on my end. I will never wear a mask ever again for anybody, unless, of course, it's a situation where I have, like, I'm around my mom and I've got a cold or something or what have you, whatever. But you know what I'm talking about. And you know, and really in the end, some of it was so pathetic. It was so embarrassing. Like watching people squirt that sanitation gel in their kids' hands, turning their own children into neurotics, and probably hurting them long term because their immunity was so disjointed after they had to use this gel. Or the people who routinely, like, went over to the elevator. You know, it was almost like, when people see a drinking fountain, like they had to go over and get a drink out of it, even if they're not thirsty, they still see a drinking fountain. When like normal, average, like intelligent people saw these sanitation gel dispensers, they just had to go over there and stand there and so self-satisfyingly, rub it on their hands and everything else. The worst part is you still go to mass, and all the people who are handing out communion and stuff like that, the first thing they have to do as a result of this idiot, stupid COVID thing is go over to the hand sanitation dispenser and rub their hands with it. And because I oftentimes sit in like the first or second row of church, because I like to, I'm usually the one who has to eat that stupid gel on the body of Christ. You know what I'm saying? I got to taste their stupid hand gel on the body of Christ. And it's just unbelievable. I mean, how embarrassing it was. And so somebody has to pay. Somebody must be held accountable. And people need to be punished for what they did. The FDA commissioner was on News Nation, and Marty McCary, Dr. Marty McCary is the FDA commissioner. And he said something that really requires, I think, a lot of, and I hope that RFK Jr. and those guys, I hope they really deal with this severely. But we all know that the NIH, under the direction of Dr. Fauci, funded the Wuhan lab where they were playing around and they created the virus. And they weren't just experimenting, they were concocting. And this is what he had to say on News Nation, I think. I think that's what he had to say. But he's claiming right off the bat that this was the NIH did this. It's traceable. We know what they were up to, and somebody needs to be held accountable to it.
We're planning to change our health agencies for a generation or longer. Look at the NIH. When Jay Bhattacharya came in there, it was a mess. 14% of the grants were descriptive studies on health equity, and the NIH had just funded a lab that brewed up a virus that killed 20 million people worldwide. Mm-hmm. So they're getting back to studying root causes, a cure for cancer, debilitating neurodegenerative diseases, and they're going to do good work.
Right. But you have to do it with fewer people. Is that a challenge?
So he said very plainly, and it was kind of like couched in that statement, that the NIH brewed up a virus that killed 20 million people worldwide. Hitler murdered 6 million Jews, 6 million people, and we all know where he is sitting in the annals of history and in the annals of awfulness. And we've got government people here in the U.S. who, by the way, are still alive and still accessible via our hands and ropes, who were part of the commission of murder of individuals through the development of COVID. And it's interesting how, and that's why I'm wondering, like, when are we going to get this information? Like, where is this information? Because the bottom line is what happened here is we have no information about what really happened in the Wuhan lab. We don't have any names of people. We don't have any logs of what happened at the Wuhan lab. We have none of that. None of that. All right, really quickly, I want to get to this because Huckabee is on fire, U.S. ambassador to Israel, and he is basically laying it out there that that the news media and everybody else are lying about what's happening in Gaza with these individuals starving. Hamas is stealing their food and diverting their food. That's exactly what's happening. In the meantime, Hamas is also parading a couple of Jewish hostages around, starving them, making them dig their own graves. And don't tell anybody I said this, but I think they ought to pave Gaza and turn it into extra parking for whatever stadium is there in Israel.
The insanity that we're dealing with right now is that there are so many European nations, so many Americans who are angry at Israel for the suffering in Gaza. Mark, there is one reason that there is suffering in Gaza. It's the same reason that 1,200 people were massacred on October the 7th. It's the same reason that 250 people were taken hostage. 50 of them continue to be held hostage and tortured. And that's because of Hamas. They're a terror organization, and they've acted like it. And all of this time, Israel has done everything it can. They've made, I don't know how many different offers in order to get the hostages out to end this. Hamas always walks away, always says no. And for some crazy reason, the Europeans and people around the world are blaming Israel for this. I can't get my arms around what the rationale is.
Yeah. And so what I talked to somebody today about this, one of my really activist Jewish friends, and he said there's not going to be any ceasefire at this point now. With the way Israel has been treated, lied about, and how Hamas is hurting, starving its own people, there should be no ceasefire. And in the end, because you saw what Israel was able to do to some of these people, including the terror leaders in Iran and the terror leaders with Hamas and everything else, is Israel's really good at killing terrorists. And so at this point, even though it would be nicer to have a ceasefire, because then Hamas wouldn't, harm Israelis, whatever. But the reality is the people who are going to gain the most from a ceasefire would be Hamas, because they don't play by the rules. And at this stage, I believe all bets are off. And I'm actually kind of glad about that, so that Israel can just continue to unleash its own form of terror, which is moral retribution against Hamas and against some of the people of Gaza who are egging on the killing and continuing the killing of Jews around the country. So that's how it's going to go. And as far as I'm concerned, it's time to pave Gaza. Turn it into another Trump hotel, whatever you want to do with it, but it needs to be erased. And there will be no ceasefire, though, now. So not my problem. Not Israel's problem anymore. It's Hamas's problem. And so we'll see how it goes. Anyway, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. And we've been drinking gin martinis, right? So, no room for tequila, but even if it does make our clothes fall off, it's fine. Ashton, thank you so much. Tony Colombo next. Colombo and Company.
Is your backyard a battleground every evening? Swatting, itching, kids running back inside? Hey, Tim Jones here. I just found out about a new local company, Mosquito Nix, that can take care of all that and more. They offer permanent automatic mosquito and tick protection, not just fogging, real coverage